Vicinity FM 95.3.
This is Vicinity 95.3 FM, Ikeji Lejesha. The time is 12 o'clock. I am Oluwafunke Israel with Global News. First, deadlines. President Tinubu to appoint new ambassadors for foreign missions. Chad holds parliamentary elections to end military rule. And South Korea launches investigation into plane crash. Now the news in full. President Bola Tinubu is set to announce the new ambassadors within the next few weeks. The senior special advisor on foreign affairs and protocol to the president, Ademola Oshodi, stated this in an interview on year-end review on Sunday, that steps will be taken by the Senate and accreditation put in place in their various missions around the world. Weighing in on the matter, Nigeria's former ambassador to the Benin Republic, Lawrence Obishaki, and former Nigeria's High Commissioner in Australia, Ayola Olukoni, both faulted President Tinubu's non-appointment of ambassadors 16 months after the president recalled all career and political ambassadors representing Nigeria overseas. Oshodi said the president is putting things in place for the envoys to be appointed and sent to foreign soils. The federal government has expressed sympathy with the government and people of South Korea following the tragic crash of Jeju Air flights, which led to the death of 179 passengers after the plane burst into flames some 280 kilometers southwest of Seoul on December 29. The crash occurred on Sunday when the Boeing 737-800 returning from Bangkok, Thailand, attempted to land at Mon International Airport in southern South Korea, skidded off the runway and collided with a wall, resulting in a ferry explosion. In a statement by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs spokesperson, Kimi Ebianfa, on Sunday, the federal government conveyed its condolences to the bereaved families and expressed solidarity with South Korea. Out of the 181 passengers and crew on board, 179 lost their lives, leaving only 2 survivors. The Nigerian Customs Service has announced the seizure of 15,325 liters of petrol to be auctioned off at 400 naira per liter, in a move to ease the transportation challenges during the festive season. The National Coordinator of Operation Wild Wind, Acting Controller General Hussein Ikeji said the petrol would auctioned will ease when auctioned will ease transportation this season for transport workers and passengers. Ikeji, during a press briefing held at the Customs Training College, Ikeja, noted 613 jerrycans of petrol was seized with a duty paid value of 27 million naira by operatives in the Lagos-Ogun axis. He explained that the operation had been in place since May 27 and has yielded positive results under the marching order of the Controller General of Customs, Bashir Adewale Adeniyi. The operatives have continued to sustain the tempo until the activities of economic saboteurs are stamped out of the country. Away from Nigeria, Chad held its first parliamentary election in 13 years, presented by the government as a key step towards ending its military rule. The voting ended on Sunday, while provisional results expected by January 15 and final results by January 31st in the large, mainly desert Central African nation of 18 million people Polling stations were monitored by about 100 foreign election observers and representatives of political parties. On Saturday, the opposition Democratic Party of the Chadian people said more than 1,000 ballots intended for Bongo had disappeared, calling for vigilance to thwart fraud networks set up by the ruling Patriotic Salvation Movement Party. Meanwhile, voting took place against the backdrop of reoccurring attacks by the armed group Boko Haram in the Lake Chad region. The government has presented the elections as the final stage in a transition to democracy. This is Vicinity 95.3 FM, Ikeji, Ijesha. Global News will continue shortly. Now, the rest of the news. The Eastern Democratic Republic of the Congo, an ending conflict ravaging the region for several months with little or no hope for a better future, as an atmosphere of sadness and uncertainty looms over the city of Goma. The conflict between the Congolese army and the M23 has intensified in recent months, threatening the city of Goma and plunging its residents into fear. The impact of the war on the local economy is reportedly devastating, as business activities are paralyzed, investments have been frozen, and government tax revenues crashing, a foreseen circumstances for the region's development. The U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken has called on the M23 and Rwanda to cease hostilities and withdraw their positions in the Democratic Republic of Congo during a phone conversation with both heads of states. Despite calls for peace, uncertainty still looms over Goma as residents prepare for a new year, hoping 2025 will finally bring peace and stability to the region. In Ethiopia, no fewer than 71 people have died in a road accident in southern Ethiopia after an overloaded truck plunged into a river in Sidama State, some 300 kilometers south of Ethiopia's capital, Addis Ababa. On Sunday, in a report filed by the Regional Communication Bureau, the Sadama Police Commission Traffic Prevention and Control Directorate's Chief Inspector, Daniel Shankura, said 68 males and 3 females died in the accident, with 5 in critical condition, taking treatment at Bona General Hospital. The Health Bureau expressed its condolences to the families of the victims of the crash and said it would provide more information on the incident. Authorities did not provide details about the number of passengers who were on board at the time of the accident. The South Korean plane crash of Jeju Air flight, which led to the death of 179 passengers after the plane burst into flames some 280 kilometers southwest of Seoul, December 29, have called for concerns. Authorities have continued to search through the debris to probe the cause of the fatal incident with assistance from the United States authorities. The collision between a plane and flight and a bird was reportedly a possible factor responsible for the crash. Video footage shows that the plane touched down without wheels or any other landing gear and skidded down the runway. As South Korea's interim president meets with victims' families, the representatives are pushing for support from the country's government to help with the identification of the victims, and other representatives who lost multiple members in the crash are demanding compensation from Jeju Air Management. Thousands of Georgians have protested the swearing in of a new president with the ruling Georgian Dream Party, Mikhail Kevalashvili, a former pro footballer who was sworn in during a critical political period for the country after the government suspended its application to join the European Union. Georgian Dream won parliamentary elections in October with allegations of election fraud, which have since sparked several street protests. Meanwhile, the outgoing president, Salome Zorabichvili, refused to step down on Sunday, saying she was the only legitimate president. Addressing protesters, Zora Bichili said she would leave the presidential palace, however, insisted her successor is illegitimate. Speaking after taking the oath at a closed door ceremony, the president elect, the former pro footballer Kavel Lashville, went on to praise Georgian traditions, values, national identity, the sanctity of the family, and faith. A former US President, Jimmy Carter, reportedly the oldest living president of the United States, has died at the age of 100. Carter, who was president between 1977 and 1981, died on Sunday at his home in Plains, Georgia, according to the Carter Center. The former U.S. president passed away in Plains, according to the organization which Carter founded a year after leaving the White House. No cause of death was immediately given, although Carter had spent almost 2 years under hospice care at his home after being treated for a form of skin cancer. He celebrated his 100th birthday at his home in October. In a leading tribute to his predecessor, Biden described Carter as an extraordinary leader, statesman, and humanitarian who had saved, lifted, and changed the lives of people all across the globe. To end the global news, another look at the headlines. President Bola Tinubu is set to announce the new ambassadors who will take on foreign missions. The senior special advisor on foreign affairs and protocol to President Ademola Oshodi stated in an interview on Year in Review that steps will be taken by the Senate and accreditation put in place in the various missions around the world. We told you that Chad held its first parliamentary election in 13 years, presented by the government as a key step towards ending a military rule. And lastly, you heard that the South Korea plane crash of Jeju Air Flight, which led to the death of 179 passengers after it burst into flames. Authorities have continued to search through the debris to probe the cause of the fatal incident with assistance from the United States authorities. And just before we go, the last line. While the finishing of a chapter can be sad, there is another just over the horizon. That was Global News for this afternoon, as packaged and delivered by Oluwafunke Israel. Thanks for listening. Please stay tuned for news nationwide at 5 o'clock. Good afternoon.
Welcome to the heartbeat of the city. The anthem rhythm of the streets. Vicinity FM 95.3. Welcome.
Manager, àwọn advert méjèèjì yìí wọ́n fi hàn so ó máa lọ ní advert best méjì tàtà ní bẹ̀rẹ̀ ní ọ̀sán àtàlẹ́ ní ọ̀sán àtàlẹ́ ní ọ̀fẹ́ náà.